Have you ever been on an important call and suddenly nothing? Signal's gone. We all have. We usually just blame the network. But what if it wasn't an accident? Today we're diving into the pretty wild world of intentional radio frequency interference. Basically, when someone is deliberately trying to jam the signals we all rely on.
All right, so just to set the stage, this is part 8 of our 12-part tutorial, and it's all based on a really comprehensive report from Virtualization Options LLC called Radio Frequency Interference: Navigating the Invisible Threat to Connectivity. In this part, we're shifting gears from accidental noise to something way more sinister: deliberate attacks on our wireless world.
You know that feeling, right? Your map app just freezes up, a call drops, and your first thought is, my cell provider is the worst. But what if it had nothing to do with them? What if someone nearby was purposefully knocking you and everyone else offline? So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about what actually makes an attack an attack. Then we'll look at the gear people use, the jammer's toolkit. After that, we'll get into the really serious stuff. What happens when critical signals go dark? And finally, we'll tackle the huge problem of actually trying to stop this invisible crime. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. What are we even talking about when we say invisible attack? Well, the whole key is figuring out the difference between just random accidental electronic noise and a deliberate act of sabotage. So intentional interference isn't just some random byproduct. The source material defines it as the purposeful creation of signals. The one and only goal is to mess with our wireless communications, to disrupt, degrade, or completely block them. And this slide really makes it crystal clear. On the one hand, you've got your everyday unintentional interference. You know, like when your old microwave makes your Wi-Fi act up. That's just an accident. But on the other hand, you have a malicious act, where someone is actively using a device, like a jammer, because they want to block those signals. Which, of course, brings us to the next big question: what are these attackers actually using? Let's look at the jammer's toolkit and see how they turn the very air around us into a weapon.
The way it works is actually surprisingly simple. Imagine a radio receiver is trying to listen for a very specific, pretty quiet signal. Think of it like someone trying to have a whispered conversation in a library. Well, a jammer is basically like someone walking into that library and just screaming nonsense at the top of their lungs. The poor receiver gets totally overwhelmed by all that noise and just can't hear the real conversation anymore.
And the scary part is, the tools to do this are incredibly easy to get. Attackers can go online and buy cell phone jammers that create dead zones, Wi-Fi disruptors that can knock out an entire office network, and even GPS jammers that prevent any kind of location tracking. And that affects everything from your car's navigation to vital systems in aviation. And let's be absolutely clear on this, the report really hammers this point home. These devices aren't just toys for pranks. They are highly illegal in most places for a very good reason. They're indiscriminate. A jammer doesn't know or care if you're trying to watch a video or trying to call 911. It just blocks everything. And that leads us to probably the most important part of this whole conversation. What actually happens when these critical signals fail? Because the real-world consequences are so much bigger than just a minor inconvenience. Just look at this number for a second. 78%. According to a survey mentioned in the report, that's the percentage of emergency responders who've dealt with delayed calls because of cell interference. Think about that. In a literal life-or-death moment, the one thing you need to work might be completely cut off. And this image here shows you the ripple effect. It's not just your personal cell service that's at risk. Even specialized networks for first responders, like FirstNet, often use the same physical cell towers. So a jammer aimed at a commercial network can easily take down the communication lifelines for police, fire, and paramedics. And the specific systems at risk are pretty terrifying. We're not just talking about voice calls to 911 being delayed. This interference can mess with the dispatch systems in emergency vehicles. And it's a huge threat to next-generation 911, which needs data to work. Things like photos, videos, and precise location data sent to dispatchers. And here's the kicker, the part that makes this whole thing so insidious. An estimated 91% of these incidents fly completely under the radar. Most of us, we just think, oh, bad signal, maybe we restart our phone, and we just move on, never even realizing we were the target of a deliberate, illegal attack. Okay, so if this is so dangerous and so illegal, why can't we just stop it? Well, that brings us to our last section, the enforcement challenge. And let me tell you, trying to stop an invisible attack is incredibly hard. Now,
You might think the problem is that the penalties aren't tough enough, but wow, they are. In the United States, the FCC can hit you with fines of over $100,000 per violation per day for using a jammer. And that doesn't even include possible criminal charges.
So the laws are definitely there, and they have some serious teeth. But as this slide says, actually catching someone in the act is a massive challenge. The rules are on the books, but putting them into practice is a whole different ballgame. And it really comes down to three huge problems. First, agencies like the FCC just don't have the resources. They have a small team trying to investigate thousands of complaints. Second, the source is incredibly hard to find. A jammer could be in a moving car turned on for just a couple of minutes. And third, these illegal devices are super cheap and really easy to buy online from suppliers overseas, completely outside the reach of local law enforcement. So it all leaves us with this one kind of sobering question. Our whole modern world, from our economy to our emergency services, is built on this foundation of invisible signals. How on earth do you defend that foundation from an attack that is itself completely invisible? That's the challenge that we are really only just beginning to figure out.